are live. All right, guys, welcome to episode 39 of the weekly. And this week, just a few topics. It's centered around Microsoft and Apple. And with us, joining us as a special guest this week is Mr. Mark, aka Soldier Knows Best. How's it going, man?
I'm doing pretty good. And I first want to start off by wishing Bowman a belated happy birthday. I think his birthday fell on Thursday, the same day Apple announced a new MacBook. So my priorities were a little bit, skewed towards Apple. So I just want to go ahead and wish you a happy birthday now that we got the important stuff out the way.
Okay. Thank you for a belated birthday. And I know there's more important things going on than Apple's little announcement, them just, re-announcing their unrevolutionary things. Certain things evolve, like I evolve. I'm like,
you're getting older. You're right about that. You're getting older. It shows.
All right, guys. Well, we have to go into the topics here. Happy birthday, Mr. Warren Bowman. Thanks for joining us always. And of course, we have Mr. Juan Bagnell, who came back from another birthday last week. How's it going,
That's
man?
Right. Yeah, my little baby girl turned 1 last week, which is why I couldn't join you guys. But yeah, it was a crazy, exciting day full of cake smashing and little kids running around with candy. So I'm glad to be back just talking about tech.
All right, cool. Let us get into the heart of the matter. First thing is uselessness of the week. And this one has to do with T-Mobile's Pixel offer. So T-Mobile, as always, the CEO, came out and basically has this awesome offer for Pixel owners or people who have Pixel to basically switch over to T-Mobile. T-Mobile will offer unlocked Pixel owners $325 credit if they sign up for T-Mobile. Now, this sounds dandy if, of course, I buy a Pixel, and then once I sign up, they give me $325 credit immediately off my plan. No, this is $13.55 over 24 months. And of course, you have to sign up for T-Mobile One, which we all know how getting to that plan can be. So I want to get your thoughts on that. And then I have a personal mini uselessness on T-Mobile again as a T-Mobile customer. So please, I'll start off with you, Mark. What do you think about this whole offer from T-Mobile for Pixel unlocked users?
I mean, it definitely would have been better to get it in a big chunk, but I think that is better than nothing. I mean, if you use T-Mobile and, if you're on a network for whatever reason and you just really want the Pixel, it's not a bad thing. I mean, you're going to get some money off, some money back for your phone. And T-Mobile's always been pretty sneaky with these type of things. They always find some way to find a way to take a jab at whoever, Verizon right now and all that. But so yeah, I don't see it as a total bad thing. But yeah, their unlimited plan and all that is not the greatest, but it's better than nothing, I would say.
Okay, how about you, Mr. Warren Bowman? I mean, wait, because Mark was the one who just called you out on your birthday. So I mean, you got to have some kind of reply to his silly comments about T-Mobile. I'm just saying that's what he's thinking, not me.
Some sort of witty retort, one might say.
Yes, exactly. Go ahead, Mark.
I mean, you can't take a turd and turn it into something shiny with T-Mobile. I can't get anything out of that nonsense. The thing is useless. I mean, how are you going to say, we'll give you a $325 credit over 24 months? What? That's hot garbage. Like, if you're going to give somebody a credit, give them somebody a full credit. Don't try to it's like you trying to piggyback off of someone else's success. It's like, well, if that Pixel sells, you can come over here since we can't directly sell it to you. We'll give you a discount on it. Dog. Like, what? Like, that just doesn't add up at all to me personally. And it's like them, because they missed out on the Pixel, they're trying to get some gains onto it. But rather than offer a proper deal, I would simply say, hey, I'd rather get a $50 statement credit for like 1 month than $325 over this period of time if there's no guarantee if I'm ever gonna actually stick with T-Mobile. Because that's the thing. What if you don't stick with them? So you only get a certain portion of the actual credit out of it. So let's say you only stick around for what, 3 months or so. So you went over there and you saved, the price of like a steak dinner for them. That's all you got out of it.
Steak dinner are you eating that's like $30?
You've been to Vegas.
Oh,
that's cheap. Technically.
No, I'm saying steak dinner should be more than $30, bro.
Oh well, yeah, no, yeah, I guess so.
Bowman's going to Applebee's for you take that's
No, I'm thinking. No, when
you
I'm
get dressed up in a suit and tie to go to
no,
Applebee's.
wow, no, I'm thinking of like we've all been to the Fremont experience. We know it is over there.
I like my ribs as appetizers, little and completely inexpensive.
Okay, how about you, Juan? Go ahead, your thoughts.
I'll play devil. I mean, I agree with everything that's been said, but I will play devil's advocate and just picking up on what excuse me, sorry, picking up on some of the other comments too, especially like the notion of if you were maybe considering T-Mobile, any cash off your bill is going to be welcome. Absolutely. T-Mobile loves to make these grandiose statements, which they really can't back up, but they make so much noise about them. That's kind of their PR trick. That's kind of their PR hack. So they didn't get the Pixel. Whereas, I mean, they've had Nexuses in the past, and I'm sure, this was a way to take a fun shot at Verizon, especially considering that this whole notion of the Pixel being only on Verizon is not true, since Google is selling an unlocked version of the phone. This totally feels like, T-Mobile 101 straight out the playbook. This is their opening salvo on poking at their competitors. And I don't know. I mean, I think this could be totally fine. Yeah, it really just comes down to, did you want the Pixel? Were you considering T-Mobile? You'll get $10 a month off your bill. That doesn't suck. You might as well take them up on it. Whether or not you actually stick with T-Mobile or you continue to go with T-Mobile, you still got $10 off your bill every month. So that's what it is. I mean, it is what it is. But just we absolutely should be, I think, making fun of T-Mobile. We should be mocking T-Mobile every time they come out with one of these major announcements, which turns out to be just sort of like a, like here's a coupon. Like it's
sure.
It's kind of silly.
It's just it reminds me. Speaking of that, it reminds me of those mail-in rebates. It's like one of those rebate offers. It's like you're gonna save $325 now, as long as you send in the mail-in rebate. It's just like.
And also, it's like, because we know a bunch of you won't.
Yeah, pretty much.
But isn't it better than nothing, though?
It absolutely is.
To me, it's like it doesn't hurt anything. So that's the way I look at it. It's not the best implementation of this. Again, of course, we want a bigger chunk of it, but it's better than nothing. And I applaud their effort. And they have other carriers that aren't doing anything. If you want to, bring the Pixel.
Yeah.
Let's get Sam.
No, it's
really this fray here.
But it's really. But to that point, I mean, it really is. Sorry, before I let Sam go in, it really isn't that I have any issue with the actual deal. Again, like if you're getting what is it, $13 a month off a month?
$13.33.
That's $13 off your bill every month. So that's cool. It's more. I really feel like we should be making more fun of T-Mobile for how they present this information as if they're doing something revolutionary. Anytime a company makes claims that they're doing something revolutionary and then they don't, I feel that's a mockable situation.
All right, Black Iron Man.
Oh, we're gonna have that moment. That's coming. Talking about companies making revolutionary things.
Hold on a second.
That was the underhanded, slow pitch setup, and I'm glad someone knocked it out of the park. I'm just saying.
Sam, what's going on, man?
That's good. Now you already said everything. It's just kind of funny that you have to spend probably $700 first before you start seeing $1,300 coming back. I mean, $13.55 back in your account. That's all. I just think it's unreasonable. Either T-Mobile should go out there and get a bunch of pixels from Google and basically say, hey, we're going to have, you guys come in and you can get a pixel here. We might not have an exclusive deal with Google, but we'll still have the pixel in our stores. Or they could just simply say, bring it over after you have it from Verizon. We'll unlock it and whatever. And then we'll pay whatever difference. But having to pay $700 first, I don't know how many people will want to do that, man. I don't know how many people will want to do that.
All right, before we move to other topics, I have a mini uselessness on T-Mobile because I'm a T-Mobile customer. I'm a long time. I've been a T-Mobile customer since 2003.
Bigly.
And yeah. Okay. So I got the iPhone.
Were you still back then?
No, they were T-Mobile. I think they had switched maybe 2 years before that. I picked up this iPhone 6s through the Jump plan. Now the Jump plan allows you to update your devices every twice a year, And when you join the jump plan, it's an 18-month program. But at that time, this is what they made it seem. If I wanted to return the phone, I could return it anytime early, or I could buy it out. I could choose either one. So I go back to the T-Mobile store on Monday and I say, hey, you know what? I don't want the iPhone 6s anymore, and I can't get the iPhone 7 now. So I'm just going to return it. The guy at the store proceeds to tell me that I cannot return it. The only thing I can do is buy it outright for $325, or I will wait the remaining, I think I have 4 months left, and pay $20 a month. So I sat down there and said, you know, if I give it to you, you could sell this phone used and make more money than how much I will pay you for the next 4 months, because it's only $20 times 4. So how does that make any law? I'm even trying to make them money and I don't get it. I don't understand how, as a company, you can get a product back, which you can probably sell used or lease back again as a used iPhone, and make more money off you, and still, off consumers, and you don't want to get it back. So basically, I sold my iPhone 6s this weekend, and I made a profit, and I'm giving them a $325 because they're completely useless.
That's a true story.
Yes.
Cool story, bro.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the process and thought centers of innovation between Microsoft and Apple. We'll start off with Microsoft, and that's why, of course, we have our special guest here, Soldier Knows Best, the premier Apple guy on YouTube, who has
nice game PC.
Exactly. He has a nice rig behind him, and I see awkward, and that's a nice monitor, bro. Woo!
Thank you.
Did you build that? Or did you have a ghost builder?
Oh no, I built mine. I definitely built mine.
Apparently, certain people in the YouTube sphere don't necessarily build their own PCs.
Ooh. I wonder who you should be talking about.
Let's let Kevin come and defend himself at some point.
Well, damn, just put it out there.
I will. I mean, come on. Anyway, Microsoft announced the Surface Studio this week. They had the press event. They had two major announcements. The first was the Studio, which is only one PC that has a quote-unquote 4.5-inch display. Sorry, 4.5. Did I say 4.5 inch? Jesus Christ. It's a 28-inch 4.5K display. Nice form factor. It has the Microsoft dial, all that fun stuff in there, and it starts priced at $3,000. They also announced the Surface Book. I call it Performance Edition, or SE, because the naming is performance-based is kind of lousy, which has a 965, a quad-core processor, 16 hours of battery life, all that fun stuff. So I want to get your thoughts on the Microsoft announcement. What do you think about the Studio, the Surface Book Performance? And I'll start off with, now I'll save the Apple guy for last. So I'll start off with you, Juan. What did you think about Studio and Microsoft's announcement?
Did you say Juan or Warren?
Juan.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
I only understood it because I'm close.
So for Surface Studio, I'm having a few of the same reservations that I had back when I was reviewing some of those really foldy, flexy Lenovo all-in-one PCs. I can't remember. I want to say there's like the A700 series of Lenovo PCs that would like fold completely flat. You could use it as like a tabletop for gaming. And
the Horizons. Yeah.
What's that?
The Horizons.
The Horizons.
Yes, thank you. The Horizons. I was spacing. We were talking about this on our podcast, and like, there's a name for it. I don't know what it is. It's a Lenovo. So we start getting into these like really high resolution workspaces, which, you know, this is not really aimed at like just sort of a casual consumer demo, not with that screen resolution, not with what they're looking at. But then you throw in things like, what is it? It's a 980M graphics processor. So you have a dedicated GPU, but it's a mobile version of last generation NVIDIA hardware. And those are the kind of things that just give me a little bit of pause. It's the same thing, you know, like we saw refreshes for the Surface Book and the Surface Pro. One of the main things I was wanting to see was the addition of Thunderbolt. We're going to be talking about Apple, and you know, that's something that I think we should all be moving towards. I want Thunderbolt on my phones. Put a PCI bus in my phone and give me Thunderbolt, and I'll be happy. So those little things just kind of gave me a bit of pause. But otherwise, if you're looking at that kind of iMac style, all-in-one workspace or workstation style computer, this is going to be an expensive version of that, but it could be a good solution for someone who's not really part specific about what it is that they need to get their work done. I mean, I think we're all working on custom rigs here. We've chosen every single component because it's what we need to really dig into the work that we do, and we wanted to do that as cost effectively as possible. I think we're a dying breed. For the more mass market out there, or also just for corporate use, you know, you don't want to have to build computers if you're going to be outfitting a number of workstations. You just get a bunch of iMacs and you're fine because they're good. This will be a hardy competitor to that style of computing, especially since Apple didn't seem to want to update any of those products like the Mac Pro or the iMac to any significant degree this year.
Okay, Sam, thoughts?
Not a big enough upgrade from an iMac. So I think this is really an iMac competitor, and to me, it's not really that big of an upgrade to an iMac. So I really don't see why Microsoft came out with the specs it did. A 980M is good, but the R9 380 or the 390 in the iMac can hold its own. So it's
trust me.
What?
The mobile version of the R9 is not that good.
Well,
compared to a 980, compared to 90, this is light.
No, compared to a 980, we're talking about a 3-year or 4-year-old card.
90M? No.
The iMac was the last revision was what, like 2-3 years ago?
2 years ago.
So it's even for then. It was like still pretty impressive that it could probably hold up to a 980.
The only card they can put in there is a 1080. And remember when we talked about it in the car, I had the same reservations until I saw how thin this thing is, and also understanding that to put a 1080 in there was no cooling solution they had.
Totally get it.
Satisfied with at this point.
I
get that part.
I totally get it, but the thing is, it's still not that much of an upgrade. From someone who, if I was an iMac user, I'm saying Apple hasn't refreshed this thing in 2 years. I need to move on to something that's newer, that has better pixel density, that has even a better screen. Even the screen is it's not even better technically than what's on the iMac. Resolution-wise, it's not.
Yeah, resolution-wise, but I guarantee. Okay, I'll put it this way: I'm not trying to just come out and defend Microsoft, because at the press conference,
it sounds like you're just coming out to try and defend Microsoft.
At the press conference, I was tweeting, I'm not too sure if I like the specs. You have to see the display because the color gambit is so much better than anything on the market in terms of what they do. It's a creative display. Like, so to Sam's points, if I were to switch from an iMac, I have to be somebody. If I did a lot of photo editing, I would switch to that display, hands down. I will also want to use the touchscreen. That's just me. Now, if I didn't care about a touchscreen, then those are the kind of ifs, ands, and buts. But it is more of a direct competitor. But to get a more Apple perspective, I'm going to hand this over to Soldier Knows Best, so he can give us his thoughts on what he thinks about that. And then Warren can challenge him because he's ready to go in.
Yeah, put your hand down, Warren. Put your hand down. I see you over there. Wait your turn.
Okay, Diamondback.
But yeah, I like it. I do like the Surface Studio. I really do. Hold
on. Say that again. He just said he liked the Microsoft product. We need to hear that again in slow detail. Somebody scored this.
Please don't tell Mr. Tim Cook. Please don't tell him. But I do like the Surface Studio, but it seems like I think they missed the boat because they're not aiming at the average consumer with this. The iMac is something that I think any consumer, or if you're a professional, can use. The Surface Studios, it's more for those creative people who are going to be doing video editing, photo editing, and things like that. And we look at the price point, it's definitely up there where it's not going to sell, as great as anything that the iMac can do. But functionality wise and just being different, I really do like that. I mean, they did copy Apple with the price. They copy Apple with that. They copy Apple with the all-in-one form factor. But I think overall, without really having a version that is targeted towards consumers, price-wise and performance-wise, I think they're really missing an opportunity there.
Warren?
Come on, guys. This is Microsoft. All they're trying to do is make all-in-ones great again. That's all they're doing here.
Oh man. Oh man. Make them great again.
Oh,
Wow.
man.
Oh, man.
But
We
Bowling
went there.
Trump.
the never. But as far as the device, like they're aiming at the high end market and probably looking at trying to, if they're successful there, to maybe offer that lower end option at that point. At some point, I could see middle level devices sort of coming out with this. It sort of did that a little bit with the Surface a little bit, where you had the Pro, and then it came out with the Surface 3, a few generations later to sell to folks. So I could see them doing that here with it. The device itself is it's nice. It looks sleek. I mean, it has. My biggest always gripe with all-in-ones is that they basically have laptop specs inside of them, just inside of a fancy monitor and screen. I mean, I was talking with Thunder E about this. I was like, this Surface Studio basically has my laptop has all the specs that this thing has. Outside of I have a 960 on my laptop versus I think what is this, the 980, this 965, and
Jesus
okay.
Christ. It's a 980 in there.
Versus the 980 that's in there right now, and a 28-inch display with a lower. They should have never mentioned the PPI in it because it's lower than I really feel it should be. But they're definitely aiming at the graphic designers. They're aiming at the content creators. Remember, this whole event was about content creation to begin with. So this is who they're in. They're looking at the people that are going to be using Paint 3D and creating stuff inside of there. And we know it's going to be coming out of Paint 3D. I'm not even going to get into that. But like, it's aiming at those folks. I mean, as soon as I saw this, I sent this to one of my friends who's a graphic design. I went with school and college. He does graphic design work, and I sent this to him immediately. I said, "Hey man, you need to check this out." And I told him, take a look at how that pen works, and then take a look at that Surface Dial, and look at how that that works. And you can just literally get on top of the screen like it's a piece of paper and just start going at it. Is a really cool thing to have. Now, how I think this is going to sell, I think we'll see some. I think we'll see some graphic designers. We'll see some studios grab this. We'll see as an iMac alternative if they want something different. We'll probably see maybe a lot of people that have been interior designing and architecture may take a look at these things as well too. Is something to use for. I guarantee you though, we'll see this in hotels, sitting right outside the desk. And it's a $2,300 machine for you to sit there and just swipe and check in.
No, I think
just because it looks nice.
The other thing to note is this sort of goes back to Microsoft's regular strategy, even with the Surface line of saying we make the best looking and our OEMs have to match. We saw that with the Surface, where eventually Acer, HP have devices, and Dell that basically have fallen under in price with the Surface, and also have a good look, solid specs, all that kind of stuff. So maybe that's what they still go in and say, look, we might as well offer this to creators, and then HP and the rest of them build out that consumer line that will match. The thing I want to know is, will that dial be open to other devices? Because I would love to use that to play StarCraft. Maybe I can beat some gigs in Korea, but I doubt. But yeah, let's move on to Apple, because it seems like we're all in some kind of an agreement. I was expecting a bigger fight between Warren and Soldier, and I mean, you guys are disappointed. People are watching.
This is terrible radio right now. We wanted way more conflict than this, so I think we need to get into more conflict.
Before we jump into Apple, maybe talk about other announcements that came out of Microsoft with the the creators update. That's kind of cool. I actually thought that was a really cool announcement. With the fact that you can now scan and print in 3D and all the other stuff. I think that they're really pushing that whole 3D idea, that you should be able to use like whatever augmented reality, virtual reality, and also mixed reality kind of stuff. I think it's pretty cool, especially with the fact that we're going to be getting Beam from Microsoft as well, so Twitch competitor. I think those are pretty big announcements.
Well, first of all, yay! They finally updated Paint for the first time in 10 years. That's awesome.
Oh no! I mean, like the Paint got a ribbon, so it's been updated.
Oh, like when that came in, like that still was 10 years because they started ribbons in 2007.
No, it's like 9 years. 9 years, sir.
No, but remember,
point of order.
The other update is coming out next year, so I mean beta you can get it now, but the proper update is 2017.
They'll update Paint every 10 years.
But no one ever used Paint. No.
I use Paint all the time just to shrink photos. The Pocket Now website, if you guys have ever been to the Pocket Now website, it is so old and busted, it won't dynamically resize photos. So if we do a banner image, we have to manually shrink it. So I use
get
Paint.
that responsive, bro.
Just to quickly like right click, open in Paint, shrink to pixel size, save, upload. It's such a pain in the ass, but I use Paint every day because of that.
Oh wow!
So Microsoft is targeting you, Matt.
Microsoft is targeting Pocket Now specifically.
You can make 3D.
Yeah, they want you to do. You want to do it in 3D.
Right.
Make the 3D banners.
Only our site will never handle it. It'll crash so bad. It's awful.
I was gonna say I just lost my train of thought. I had something and I just totally lost it.
No, they also what about the people section?
Yeah, the people. I mean, they talked about it. It looked interesting. I want to see it in action. I just need to see it like function.
Okay. The whole beam thing. I mean, that's interesting. But the first thing I said is, where's the advertising opportunities? Where can people make revenue? And they made no mention of that. I said, well, this ain't gonna get used.
Nope.
Yeah, it's true.
I definitely agree. I mean, if they said, we can make money, all of us would be playing games right now on Beam. I mean, Soldier will fire up that rig. Play some Battlefield, and crank it out.
It would have been better if they said, all right, we made this broadcasting tool called Beam, and the Beam can connect to a Twitch service or a YouTube live service that allows you to take advantage of where your audience already is, instead of trying to essentially bring another audience to another platform and try to build up there while you're not making revenue in that particular platform to make them grow, and then maybe they might come with some type of ad sharing option.
I think that's the problem with Microsoft, is that whichever team created the tech probably did something that was really cool, and you're like, wow, this would be nice to add into Windows. Somebody on the business side just didn't realize that, look, we are Microsoft, we have partners in gaming. We might as well tell them, look, it's best for you to let people stream. Let's split the revenue three-way, because for us, we don't think we're going to make that much money, but we can get people on here. That will help your game. And we split the revenue 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 across the board. Bam. Done.
I mean,
they probably think that they have a significant portion. Microsoft Games basically has a significant portion of all the games on PC. This is a PC specific rollout. I mean, Beam is going to be for PC, so I think they're banking on that. They're banking on we have a pretty good chunk of the PC gaming market. Maybe we should throw something in there that kind of gets our foot in the door for this.
But you don't have the social graph to back it up, and that's what's important there. And that's why I'm like, well, if they create a great service that everybody uses to connect to the other services, that'd be awesome, because I'd actually trust Microsoft to actually make something good, like a video stream or some type of service that actually works pretty well, and getting your games out there and getting your game streaming well and of good quality. I'd actually trust them to do that versus some of the other capturing software that you have to use, especially if they take the capturing software out of the whole deal. You just need to connect to the service, and you type in the settings, and then just the software takes care of everything for you. Would be really amazing, and I think a game changer for a lot of folks out there that might not necessarily know or want to do some type of streaming or game streaming, but don't understand capture cards, don't understand how that software works, don't want to get into too much of the idiosyncrasies of it. They just want to hop on in game and just go, and they want to play live.
Do you think this will be any significant improvement over what's already built into Windows 10, like for capturing the game footage? I
mean, this is essentially this was in the Xbox app, and it's just them taking it out and making it a separate thing.
I think you're talking about when you're playing games on PC, you can hit the Xbox button and that little tab in the bottom pops up where you can capture your game. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it's also just like, isn't it Windows G? And
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is probably going to join options on there.
Oh, okay. So this is just expanding it. It won't necessarily be a different mechanism than what we already have for the actual video capture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this pretty much is a, like to Warren's point, it's basically if you're playing, Battlefield now on PC and you want to stream it, I'm sure there'll be a shortcut command that you can easily jump to stream. The way they explained it was you don't have to do anything with the settings in terms of streaming settings are ridiculous. So you just go, I want to stream now, high quality, done. My bandwidth can accept it, fine, let's go. So I think that's what they're going with. So it all depends on if they can get people to use it, if there's advertising dollars involved, because if there's advertising dollars, people will switch. Anyone will jump over immediately.
So take a shot at it and see how it works.
Well, Microsoft has 49 million reasons to basically do this, and that's the number of people that are currently using Xbox Live. So it's a good foray into this kind of product from Microsoft.
Man, look at Sam throwing out the stats there like it's butter. 49 million.
You gotta throw the stats out, man. It's all about the numbers, man. It's all about the numbers.
You've been dubbed officially the stat boy for the show.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it makes sense that Microsoft would do this. Maybe it will monetize it later, like give like advertising, like the possibility of advertising and whatnot. But I think it's actually a pretty smart move for them. This to me is probably a bigger news than like the Surface Studio. This might be because they bought this company in August, which is what's really amazing. Yeah. They freaking bought the company in August and they released something in basically October. So
they actually did something with it. Yeah,
they're banking on this.
Yeah, definitely. All right, cool. Let us move to the other company down in Silicon Valley, Apple. They had their Mac press event. This is 25th anniversary of the Mac. And Apple showcased its new MacBook Pro. The MacBook Pro comes with some really unique feature or different feature, if you will. You can get a MacBook Pro 15-inch or 13-inch with a strip, an OLED strip. I think it's OLED, right? If I'm not mistaken, if you're wrong. Anyone correct me? Am I wrong?
Yeah, it's OLED.
Okay, I'm not wrong. OLED strip. It's got Touch ID, and Apple has talked about a lot of the functionality in there and how that expands the MacBook Pro. In terms of specs, it's got the specs bump, except they're going with a Radeon R460, which no one has tested, so there is no performance base for that. So I'm gonna start off with you, Mark. I want you to lead the charge. Let us know what you think about the new MacBook announcment and how do you feel about that? Are you getting one? Like, lay it all out so that, then maybe Warren can join you and discuss and we'll just hit mute. Bye.
I mean, it was simply magical. It's the best computer ever made. I'm fucking around. No, I think that, it's one of those things that is cool. It's going to gather a lot of attention. It's easy to show off in a commercial, like, oh, look at this. And it makes sense. When the function keys aren't getting really used. And so I'm always, again, my same thing. It doesn't hurt the product at all. I still see a lot of the functionalities. I don't see myself looking away from the screen, going down to find that touch bar to do, to copy and paste or to change the font. If I'm in email, I think it'd be easier just to do that right on the screen. Just use the mouse or the trackpad.
Predictive text, bro.
But I think it does have some good things with it that will be useful in some cases, and with creators, I think alongside the Final Cut Pro and all those different things with Adobe and Photoshop, it can be useful. But it really is, and I tweeted this out. I think this is a laptop. The way they're presenting it is basically this year's new Mac Pro because of all the different things you can hook up with the Thunderbolt ports. The way they showed it off, how many you have, two 5K monitors and so many different storages hooked up to just one laptop. I mean, if you're looking at buying a new computer for doing some intensive stuff, you probably want to go with this new MacBook Pro instead of the Mac Pro, which is kind of weird. But overall, I think it's a good laptop. I think it's going to be solid for people who are in that market to get a laptop that's going to be very powerful that you can take on the go with you. Bowman, you're next.
Wow.
Oh, he's quiet. I got him quiet over there.
No.
Quiet like Brady in the courtroom. Come on, man.
Oh,
speak up.
He's on mute. He's yelling at someone.
I know. I just realized that. I got so angry. I mute myself. My bad.
Why are you over there getting mad at the Rams fan?
Oh.
But no, I mean,
Thanks for the Super Bowl.
To that point that you stated, I'm going to just interject quickly before I actually move over to Juan. Is we can talk about the strip and its functionality on and off. I do like the fact that it has 4 Thunderbolt ports. I also hate it at the same time because it's almost too forward thinking. The no USB ports, you can't charge your iPhone off that thing. You have to buy an adapter. You also have to buy an adapter to use any display right now, other than that 5K LG display. So it's one of those things where, yeah, Apple is moving forward, but come on, you could have thrown in at least one USB on that bad boy.
Yeah, and yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, even still, I'm still mad they got rid of the micro SD card slot.
Yeah,
that's kind of dumb in my opinion. That's really too
huge.
far.
That's for photographers. That's huge.
Yeah.
For anybody as a content creator.
It's going to be interesting to see how people actually connect to this thing. They'll probably have to get either a Thunderbolt or a USB-C adapter to USB to connect to a hub to connect to whatever device. This is stupid.
I think
we'll know because every Chinese manufacturer is going to be emailing us their adapter that they want us to review about.
We'll see it. They probably somebody will have a hub that has one Thunderbolt out to SD card to USB to HDMI, all that stuff in one nice little block that will probably cost like $199. So I think that's the thing where with all that power and performance and the forward thinking, it really keeps you're almost held back because you still have to spend more money to use it the way you want to use.
Yeah,
but
it's completely stupid, and it's completely stupid because I think that the professionals or people are going to be using this, I wouldn't mind my MacBook Pro being a little thicker if you can include some of these. Like I mean, thinness I think is out the window. Like I don't care about my devices being as thin as possible anymore. The thin race should be over with. I think that Apple just needs to. They just went way too far with taking off things that now we're going to have. I'm pretty sure we're going to be putting before and after pictures of the MacBook Pro sitting on your table, and then when you're actually ready to use it, how many wires and dongles are going to be hanging off of it?
Kind of beats the point of portability. The whole point of a mobile device is But this, just watching them in this press conference pimp out that touchpad strip and show some DJ scratching on it, showing people zooming in and on pictures on it, and I'm sitting here looking at this and I'm going, we just watched yesterday Microsoft show how touch is actually supposed to work. How come Apple wants you to touch here in the front, but you can't go to the screen and zoom in and zoom out and naturally do what you already do on a phone, on any touch screen that's out? There's touchscreen PC laptops for like the last 4 or 5 years, not even longer than that, but like seriously, like I would have preferred them to take that technology, put it inside a touchscreen and bring people up into that.
But we know they can't because OS 10 is not touch optimized. This is we talked about this years ago.
Yeah, but this is the company that apparently can do that, though. This is the company that they only have a certain amount of hardware they got to deal with, so they can only
no. This is also why we see such a big push for iPad Pros. No matter what Apple does in engineering in-house, you still need probably a 2-year revision soak test with consumers before you can work out all of the kinks in getting touch working on a desktop grade OS. That's exactly what we saw from Microsoft. Unfortunately, the initial build of Windows 8 soured everybody on this sort of hybrid or multi-mode usage, and it took them till Windows 10 to get people sort of back on board with a modular OS that can fulfill both knowledge and desktop usage.
Now, with that knowledge of seeing where it is, they should now have a step ahead and see where the competition failed and finally.
Yeah, and if wishes were horses, like I'd have at least 2 horses. The issue is no, because I said if wishes were horses. I don't know. Unicorns aren't real.
Unicorns.
No, but I mean, it's the same thing. It's like you can sort of know what some of the philosophical pitfalls are, but OS 10 is a really large beast to then all of a sudden add fine point controls. I mean, look at how long it took for Microsoft just to get the right sort of spacing and balance when you long press on a screen with your finger to pop open menus versus when you right click from a mouse cursor, and how that's dynamic.
Yeah.
You know, little things like that take a long time.
And they got
to
about $5
really
billion
sort out.
in the bank to do that.
Oh,
No, I'm not saying that Apple
now you
couldn't,
hate
and I'm
money.
not saying that Apple shouldn't. I'm just saying Apple probably won't, because Apple's strategy right now is if you want touch, they want you to go over to an iPad Pro. That's where they're making way more money than on Macs.
Yeah.
So they don't really have the incentive to spend 2 years at least pissing off MacBook customers to get to a touch optimized device. So instead, they're offering us this larger trackpad and this little touch strip, and that's their compromise for this new way that you can touch things on your computer. Whoa! And it's kind of silly.
I like your arguments.
The disrespect is real. All right, go ahead.
Well, but this is precisely where Apple.
Emoji. Yay, emoji.
This is precisely
emoji.
where Apple is a victim of their own success. You know, the MacBook has this momentum in creative circles, which is why we see Microsoft going after creative professionals, especially with their latest round of Surface ads. I mean, they're just hard targeting filmmakers and animators and cartoonists and all of these like fields that you're going to have in the creative sphere. But for Apple, they can't rock the boat too much. You know, it's the same thing with the iPhone. It's the same thing with the MacBook. If you change too much too fast, you're going to piss off those people at a time where laptop sales have pretty much plateaued. Apple's share on laptops is still somewhere around like 11%, 12%. You know, you don't want to lose ground there. You don't want to lose too much. So if Apple comes out with poor touch implementation, isn't that just the perfect advertisement for a Surface? So they can't just run to it. If they try and do it now, it's going to be a failure. And I think they're hoping that by the time people are interested in touch, the iPad will be a robust enough platform. They can just move people over there as sort of like a 2 to 3 year plan, as opposed to trying to break OS 10 and fix OS 10 all at the same time. I don't think that they're going to be game for it. I don't think it's a challenge they can undertake.
Sam, you wanted to say something? Go ahead.
I like the argument that one has made, but to me, it's you're talking about a company that basically innovated touch.
Exactly.
So why on earth can't they figure out how to do it right?
Wish I could give points like pardon the interruption right now.
No, it's not that they don't want to do it. They choose not to do it. They want you to own a MacBook Pro and an iPad. Like that makes business sense.
Well,
they didn't want you to own a MacBook Pro and then have to use an iPad.
They're a hardware company in the end of the day, so they need you to buy hardware from them, because that's the way they make their money. It's not the software they make their money.
People aren't buying laptops and desktops, so there's very little incentive for them
tablets, even tablets outside of the Apple ecosystem, tablets are dying as well. So I don't know if the argument that they want you to buy tablets.
But Apple is still
iMacs
making significantly more money on iPads than they are on MacBooks.
Oh yeah,
that's because everyone else is giving up on tablets, basically.
Yeah, I mean,
well, but that's just it. Is
not a tablet of any sort of deal in the last 3 years or something.
No,
but if the laptops become
Samsung's the only one that's doing anything.
Yeah, if the laptops become glorified tablets, nobody's going to find a need to buy an iPad.
Well, I also think we have to look at this and think about now, 4 years later, almost, I guess, how much of a disruptor the Surface product is. It disrupted tablets pretty significantly, because there was nothing like that came out at the time. And then when the Pro 3 came around, and it really got people realizing, like, oh, this is a tablet, but the full-blown computer at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, why would I get anything else? Why would I spend, $500 on this iPad to get a minimal email experience, a condensed experience, and play Candy Crush all day, versus I can go and get everything in the full computing experience on a Surface. And then when I want those tablet-like experiences, I can have one of the two of those few moments to have that when I want it.
Yeah, it's not iOS. It's not iOS. They don't have the same apps as iOS. I mean, the iPad is still.
But they don't need to have those apps when they can just get full-blown versions of the apps.
Oh, come on!
They want to do, like, you can still
the Surface apps aren't nowhere near.
Well, they don't. Well, no, they're not. But they don't need to be when it's a full-blown computer. And all you need to do is either A, download the app, or 2, open up the browser and get access to everything, anyways.
I think we're talking about two completely customer demographics. Because what Soldier's talking about is exactly the situation that I face with a number of my family members. Like, I'll never be able to give my grandmother a Surface because she understands how FaceTime works between her phone, tablet, and computer. And those, like, I'm not going to move her over to Skype. she FaceTimes, like she's set. Versus like my mom, who's a computer engineer and a programmer. And I have a much easier conversation talking about things like, well, you can do this or you can do that. Or if you want full blown x86 legacy support, you've got that. If you want apps, you can do this. And I think she'd be much more game to tackle that conversation. You know, there isn't one consumer demo there where we're talking about these things rationally. For most people out there, there's a large emotional component as to what it is that's going to light up and dump all the dopamine in their brain when they buy something shiny and new and expensive.
Wow, mine is dropping the science here too, man. What's going on? Stats, science.
But
Who
real
else
quick,
next?
real quick. I just want to circle back to, I want to play devil's advocate on the Thunderbolt ports, because a lot of people have been like, oh, and in the dongles and the adapters. If Apple really is trying to claim that they're forward thinking, I actually think moving only to Thunderbolt ports was the right move. There's still a headphone jack on there, so you know I'm not going to be as cranky about like some messed up headphone solution. But it really, I don't think if this is a pro product and it's a premium product, that it's going to be an undue burden to start replacing cables when we know this is going to be the USB standard, where every cable we have is easily just a reversible USB-C connector to USB-C connector. The major issue is going to be iPhone owners, because they will have to find either a new cable or an adapter. But you go to Monoprice right now, and you know you can get some really nice. This is a $3 cable so that I can connect a Thunderbolt port to micro USB for some of my legacy Android devices.
Here's the problem though, Juan.
Card readers are going to be stupid cheap, and then you only have one port you need to worry about for every monitor, every accessory, every connector, and we're golden. Like, this is so much easier than having display dock or Thunderbolt 2 or USB or a DVI or HDMI ports. I'm on board. Having Thunderbolt on my Razer, I want to connect everything to that Thunderbolt port. I'm done. I'm done messing around with non-reversible connectors. I'm done messing around with specified connectors for different devices, and Thunderbolt will do everything I need. And the cables aren't that expensive if you don't buy them from Apple.
Exactly, and that's my point there. Apple users are not you. They're not me. They're not going to Monoprice. You're not
but what are we talking about? We're talking about pros. No. Hold on. I really wanted to address this. If we're talking about pros, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they can put USB-C into Google and go to Amazon and get an Amazon Basics cable, or go to Monoprice and get a Monoprice cable.
I agree with you, but to me that's highly wishful thinking, and you might get a unicorn if that happens. Because
you're going too far.
No, because these are the users that will go to the Apple store and will buy everything.
No. Because what I'm talking about is, like, if I go work on a set, if I go work on a film set, it's a sea of MacBooks. I'm the only person there with a Windows 10 machine. Yeah. It was with an old busted Lenovo, and now it's with my Razer. But when I go on set, I'm seeing people come up with solutions to issues on set. And the same thing happens now. Like, there are usually 3 or 4 people, even on a short, cheap film, like an ultra low budget film, that are doing nothing but data transfer. Because, like, you're shooting, those files are precious, and any disruption, like, you lose a card, you've lost hours and thousands of dollars worth of work. If a single group of files goes down or gets corrupted or something like that. So there's this whole army of people now that do nothing but like data transfer and backup. And so we'll see like stacks of hard drives, just because we know like we need every file in triplicate. If one drive goes down, well, we can't lose all this info. If 2 drives go down, we can't lose all this info. We need 3 drives to go down and a laptop to crash before we're feeling like we've got this stuff back.
It's time to go home.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying though is, you look at what they're using, and it's not Apple stuff. They've got a MacBook connected to a sea of other products and devices. And as soon as you start mixing in,
make some of that stuff though. They don't make drives and stuff like
because
that.
Apple doesn't make some of that. Because Apple doesn't make some of that stuff. Those people, those creative professionals, are well versed on how to find the cheapest possible solutions that still work for a professional work environment.
And the second,
so what? As a professional, right?
MacBook, the second it matches their MacBook, and here's the Mac drive, and it matches the way the MacBook looks, and it's $200 more than the cheaper Seagate here.
Yeah. So
Buy the MacBook.
what you'll see there are all of the out of work writers who just take up space at Starbucks. Those are the people who are going to buy that shit. But those people are not
Soldier,
those people are not
Shots
professional.
fired.
What is
Shots
this?
fired.
What is this? What is this? You can go on Apple's website. There's many third-party accessories and hard drive. They're like, man, look, this whole argument that Apple users are slaves to Apple and only use it.
It's true. It's true.
Apple beats them. It is totally out.
Okay, so
But as an Apple user, They right? They make really good laptops.
Wait,
you can't.
Soldier, but
you
no one's
can't deny-
denying you. You don't have a Mac product behind you or anywhere on screen. So I'm just wondering why you're the Apple
We
guy.
don't believe you. You need more people.
No. But on a more practical basis, right? If I'm a iPhone 6 user, right, and I'm getting a new MacBook, right? Please just describe how I would connect my cell phone to my laptop to listen to my music from my cell phone while I'm working and charging my phone as well.
No. You don't need to pin me on how stupid I think it is that the iPhone got rid of the headphone jack. And you don't need to sell me on the fact that Lightning is now an evolutionary dead end in a world of USB-C. Yeah. That's exactly why I think moving to Thunderbolt was a good idea. You want really high quality headphones? USB-C will be an actual standard across all platforms, including the MacBook. So if you invest in USB-C headphones and you've got an Android phone, you're fine. You're good. You're golden. You can move those headphones from your phone to your PC.
I
to
get
your
what
MacBook.
you're saying. You have
problem.
an Android phone, but if I have an Apple product,
No.
Same company making both products.
I said flat out, the one group of people who are going to be most negatively affected are iPhone users. Yeah. Apple has screwed the iPhone user. This is the perfect opportunity to look at cross-platform tech use. If you want an Android phone and a MacBook, you've got standards, real standards that are cross-compatible between your devices. The iPhone got hosed. And that's Apple, man. I mean, like, until Apple moves over to... They gotta
buy another cable. That's what they gotta do. They gotta buy...
It's also just like, I know so many people that really did like their earpods in the box with their iPhone because they could go from their iPhone right to their MacBook. So that was a benefit of buying a premium smartphone, a $650 plus smartphone came with this one nice little accessory that they can move back and forth. Yeah. That usage just got disrupted. And Apple's solution is, well, just go out and buy an additional Bluetooth headset or Bluetooth AirPods. Sorry, they're called AirPods, which we don't even know when they're going to ship. So again, for those little usages that we just sort of take for granted, Apple is making consumers find solutions for problems that didn't exist. So that is a bummer. But when we're talking about the MacBook as the platform for Apple computing moving into the future, I'm on board. Move everything to USB-C ports, move everything to Thunderbolt, and I think everyone's going to be happier in the long run. It sucks when we have to rip that Band-Aid off, but I'm on board. I don't want rectangular ports and trapezoid ports anymore. I just want USB-C.
So you're saying Apple's ahead of the curve. Is that what you're saying?
Well, and I don't think Apple's that far ahead of the curve. I'm serious. Like, I've gone through the second I got Thunderbolt on my Razr, I started buying new cables, and they're not that expensive, and they work better. I don't think people are going to be too angsty about having one cable spec, one cable standard that works in either direction, and they don't have to think about it anymore. I don't think it's that far. I don't think it's not like when Apple only put one USB-C on the MacBook Air. That was way ahead of the curve. That was too ahead of the curve. The MacBook with 4 Thunderbolt ports is right on the pulse.
So is this going to be so like 3 years later when everything switches, they can say they were forward thinking like they are when they're forward thinking and ruin the headphone jack?
Well, but this is a different situation. And like I said, removing the headphone jack was a bad play. This is, I think, a good play. I think this is a good example of Apple shifting over to something that makes sense moving into the future. It's why I'm bummed that the new Surface and the Surface Book refreshes don't have Thunderbolt ports. It's way too convenient a port to not include on your computers in this day and age. Look at like what you can do with something like the Razer Core. think about the modularity, like real modularity, not like I've got to plug in dongles and adapters, but Thunderbolt gives you the ability to have an ultra slim laptop that can dock super easily into desktop grade components when you need it. That kind of flexibility is going to be huge if Apple ever takes advantage of it. And we know PC manufacturers are already jumping on board. Why not Microsoft? If this is so innovative, why not at least give us a PCI bus interface, which will wreck, USB ports on these devices? That to me is actually a bummer, and we'll probably get it next year. But Apple was actually ahead of the curve here, and I think that's on the pulse for where we're going to go for the future of professional grade computing, not just casual consumer stuff. You call it a pro, it needs to be a pro.
And I totally agree with what you're saying about the MacBook. But once again, the Apple ecosystem, that's the issue. The fragmentation there is the issue. We're not saying, Apple didn't just come up and say, hey, guess what? We're going to come out with a MacBook that has all these Thunderbolt ports. This thing has probably been in R&D for the last year. So they knew what they were making while they were designing the iPhone. So it's not an issue for me whether they're forward thinking or not forward thinking. It's that they're a consumer electronics company that removes the consumer out of the decision making.
And I really
that's
think
my issue.
That Apple is a company, when we look at the different divisions, one, we know that the computer division is probably understaffed, and people keep getting pulled from that whenever there's anything going on with iOS. As for the iOS engineers, the iPhone and iPad manufacturers, I think they're under the edict that eventually their phone will have 0 ports and that everything will be wireless. I really do. I really think that. I mean, aside from the business shenanigans, I think this goes hand in hand with the business and the marketing teams, where you remove the headphone jack because you're really trying to work towards removing all holes on the phone. But then the business and marketing people get a hold of that and go, oh, well, this now means that we're going to have increased number of sales units per accessory driven, demographic, synergistic, paradigm shifting, blah, 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 blah.
IoT integrations.
So one of the things that I think they'll start pushing is better integration for Wi-Fi sync on iTunes. That's a bummer. And you can't charge off of Wi-Fi, obviously. But if you're really concerned about moving info back and forth, well, there's a wireless solution for that. You can keep your phone plugged into the Lightning port charger, and you're fine. And then at some point, you're either going to get a $3 adapter if you're smart on Monoprice, or you'll go out and buy a $50 Lightning to USB-C cable from Apple if you're not smart. And you're going to still be in that play. If you're buying a $3,000 computer and a $700 plus phone, a $50 cable shouldn't break you. If that breaks you, then you probably should be reevaluating how you spend your money.
You'd be surprised how many people do that.
No, I know. I'm not really messing around there, because again, you'll walk into any coffee shop and you'll see a bunch of writers out here in LA on really expensive laptops, like sipping on a green tea. The 99-cent beverage at a Starbucks, if they even bought that. Okay, so Mark, I totally get that. But I'm talking about the people that I know in my circles who really do get shit done. And they'll know I can either buy a $3 adapter or a new $50 cable if I want it to match. And they're not going to be broken when they go out to buy their MacBook.
One has a tagline for the Mac.
So when you go to Best Buy, is there a section dedicated to Apple accessories from third-party manufacturers?
I haven't been to Best Buy in a while.
A section dedicated.
Yes.
So you're telling me that iPhone users only buy their cases and cables from Apple, or Mac, or any Apple user only buys from Apple? Are you kidding me?
No. Okay.
Are you kidding me?
Look, we've been generalizing. Look, I would take the blame for generalizing Apple users because I think the OS is terrible. But that being said, yes, people will find solutions, like Juan said, going to Monoprice, buying it from Amazon, where you can find it cheap enough to do that. The question I actually want to ask before we finalize with our last topic is looking at the Surface dial and the touch bar, which would you rather have? Because those are the two big things, both companies talked about. Apple talked about the touch bar, its use case scenario, how you can use it, and Microsoft showed off the dial, especially using it with the Studio, and also you can use it with Surface, all the other Surface devices. So I will start off with Sam. Which would you rather have if you had to pick one of the two, and why?
Touch bar. I can take it with me. and I don't have to carry it in an extra pouch or anything. I can just close the laptop and it's still with me. So to me, it's convenience. The little Surface, I don't know, dial thing, maybe for the professionals who've been using it and people who, maybe eventually it will grow on you. But I think the use case for the touch bar is a lot easier to justify than carrying a
I didn't say justify.
dial around.
I said you, not for anybody else.
Yeah, the touch, definitely the touch would be fine.
All right. So that, Juan, how about you? Juan,
You said me?
Yeah. No. I didn't call you Mark. I said Juan, not Mark.
So
Jesus Christ.
Whatever is going on with your audio, I cannot tell when you're saying Juan or Warren. So did you mean me?
That's just normal.
Yeah. Warren.
Okay, so let's put it this way.
Yo, Mr. J. That's what I'm going to call you now.
Oh, I'm Mr. J now.
Yes.
All right, cool. I can handle that.
This just got a little dark. Now he's gonna stab us all and laugh while he does it.
Oh no, I was like, I'm fine with that. I also would have, being 5'8", Dr. J would have been cool too. So for me personally, I am one of those longtime editors who I got used to using the function keys for some of the macros that I use in different editing apps. So the touch bar doesn't really do much for me immediately until I know that more app developers or program developers are actually taking advantage of it. So I would probably go dial, but honestly, neither are really interfaces that fit my workflow. The dial would be something that I think I would play around with, and then it would just sort of stay in its pouch. And the touch bar would just piss me off because I'm used to reaching up to the top of my keyboard to hit a function key, and then it won't be there. So I'm not really particularly thrilled with either.
Okay, Warren.
Oh, the dial, because it's gonna get shit done.
Okay,
This guy.
Over and out.
all right.
This guy.
Yes, Warren. Yes, Warren.
Okay. A soldier.
I gotta go with the dial. It's gonna get shit. Oh hell no! Man, look. The touch bar would be way more useful, for me, and I think for most consumers. Like, it's something that's
Gotta get shortcuts to those emojis.
Oh, you don't use emojis.
Yeah, but I don't need a shortcut to them.
Okay, yeah.
I don't need it to predict me at the top here.
Oh.
So I can do my DJing right here and scratch, because all DJ scratch right at the top of the touch bar like that.
That's just messed up, man.
Let's go ask Grandmaster
The
Flash.
biggest hater of the touch bar. Look, again, the touch bar isn't.
It's useless, and it's something they stole from other competitors.
I said it before. Stole. Look, come on. Like, I said it before. Like, it's most of the cases that I see for it. I think it'd still be easy just to use my mouse or trackpad and access that information inside the window that's on my computer. But it doesn't hurt. Again, unless you're somebody, again, like you said, like uses a lot of the function keys and has things set up a certain way. Most consumers are going to like it. It's going to have some functionality to it that works best. With the studio and the dial, I think it's cool, but I really only seen people using that if they're in some type of graphics application or something like that. Like, just for normal use, you're not going to ever want to use that dial. But the touch bar has more use just in an everyday scenario than that.
Okay. For me, it's the dial. To me, the touch bar will be annoying at the end of the day. It'll be very annoying because I use function keys and I'm not clicking there for emojis. I don't want to look down to do that. I think the dial has more of an upside. Granted, yeah, right now it's limited in use. Again, me just being the gamer, as soon as I saw it, the first thing I thought was StarCraft, and I was happy. So my mind with being able to do more, and because it's PC, somebody will be able to find a way to do more. On the Mac, you have to wait for Apple to basically allow somebody to give you more functionality. So for me, the dial, just because somebody, once they get in their hands in a week or so, they will find another use case for it. So that's why.
Can you use the dial outside of your mouse?
Yeah, you can use all three, all four at the same time.
No, what I'm saying is, can you use the dial without your mouse?
I mean, what do you mean by without the mouse?
So with the dial, I literally have keyboard, mouse, and dial.
Yeah, and pen and screen.
Oh, and pen. So if I was going to use the dial, I would basically be using my mouse, stop, jump over, use the dial a little bit, jump back to my mouse.
You can use them simultaneously.
I don't know. I use my mouse and the dial simultaneously.
However you want to use it, you can use it. It really doesn't matter.
I'm just saying it adds to the whole craziness, the clutter. That's why I like that.
Like I said, to me, it wasn't clutter watching somebody literally not use the keyboard, because it really takes you away from doing all those function shortcuts on the keyboard and just using the dial. So when I saw that, I said, that's why I said the first thing I saw, the guy using the mouse, and then he picked up his pen and he just continued. I went, this is StarCraft. That's the first thing that came to my mind. I'm like,
does it have to be on the screen or no?
No, it can be on the screen, on the table, wherever you want to put it.
Okay, so they just had it on the screen there just to mess with people like me.
No.
Look, it's the surface. It's
you
awesome.
put it on the screen, and basically the menus pop up around it, and it's easier flow for you. You put it on the table, you basically walking through the menus on the side. So
kind of like what the Horizons had. The Horizons had to do.
Except better, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's actually pretty cool.
So for me, that's why I said that. But it's just that open nature. Yeah, I know we're running a little bit on time, but I just wanted to get, since we talked about this last week, I wanted to get Soldier and Mr. J's thoughts, Mr. J, about AT&T buying Time Warner. Because last week we made a mistake, or at least we were informed that it was just Time Warner cable, but it actually is the whole of Time Warner, aka Warner Brothers, film studio, TV, as well as also HBO and some of the other facilitating companies. So I'll start off with you, Mr. J. What do you think about AT&T, trying to make this purchase? We know it's not finalized yet, but good or bad, terrible, afraid, shocked?
Well, all of those things and more. You guys, I mean, like, if you guys have been following our antics on this podcast for a while now, you guys know I always get a little squirrely when we see these major mergers coming down the pipe. Yeah, I in the same way that I was concerned about NBC Universal and Comcast sort of getting all swallowed up together, I'm a little anxious about AT&T buying up. We have precious few companies at the top that actually do sort of are the umbrella corporations for all of this content. To see more of them sort of get amoeba swallowed by other mega entities, $80 billion. Yeah, that makes me a little nervous. I would really hope that all of the people that would be apt to watch all of our channel's content would be aggressive in contacting the FCC, contacting local elected officials, that we need to keep an eye on this. It seems like it's pretty likely this is going to go through. I haven't seen significant enough opposition outside of Bernie Sanders to try and prevent this merger from happening, or this acquisition from happening. It's not even really a proper merger. So considering, I mean, sort of assuming that it's going to go through, now we have a company which controls the pipes, who now has invested a ton of money in content, and I feel that's a recipe for making sure we are watching them to make sure that they aren't engaging in any discriminatory business practices towards other content producers. So that to me becomes, now we just have to watch them. That's the bummer, is when they were sort of separate entities, one company had the pipes and the other company had the content, there really wasn't the same sort of urgency in making sure that they weren't doing anything nefarious. So that's where I'm at. It doesn't really seem like it's going to overly change the relationship for how most people consume content. But now we just have to watch them to make sure that they aren't doing anything dopey with their competitors.
Okay, Soldier, how are you?
Yeah, I completely agree. It has a recipe for disaster later down the road. If AT&T wants to get really aggressive, since they have so much control over so much content and the way you get it. And other companies now, they're going to start doing the same thing. People are going to start buying up as much as they can to try to get ahead of this curve. So again, it could be really good for AT&T customers, for their bundles and their deals. But in the long run, if AT&T does, I'm about to say Apple, if AT&T does get money hungry, which can definitely more likely happen, and as all these companies are threatened more by streaming and all these other different services, I just had a bad feeling when I saw the news article about it. Like I don't wish to automatically say a company is going to do wrong or is not going to really play ball, but it just didn't sit right with me with them buying up this. And
right, there's like nothing overt, but now like I'm concerned.
Like, just keep one eye open. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and it really puts AT&T a major player. I mean, now AT&T goes up against Disney. I mean, because Disney owns the other half of almost all entertainment out there, other than Netflix. I'm surprised Netflix is still on its own right now, because now if this goes through, Netflix is now looking like such a juicy thing for somebody to pick up, you know, who has the money to pick that up and things like that. And we start losing that, I wouldn't say diversity, but it just becomes a really smaller piece, and just, you know, fewer people controlling all your entertainment out there. Because we know right now Disney controls all of Star Wars, all of Marvel, they have ABC, and then AT&T control, you know, Warner Brothers and all that all together. So yeah, any thoughts you guys want to add in, Sam and Warren? Sorry, you guys are on mute. If you guys
no, that's pretty much it. We're gonna keep an eye on it. I'm really not sure if this. I'd be really surprised this ends up going through. It's such a massive amount of.
I'm actually really surprised that there hasn't been louder opposition. I mean, it as far as I can
think
find,
it's because of the elections there hasn't been. I think because of the current election that's going on,
that's
people aren't paying attention to it.
Well, that actually makes perfect sense that the loudest voice would be Bernie, because he's out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely makes sense.
He's got time on his hands.
All right. Yeah, so we have reached the end of the show. And since this is the end of the month, we have a giveaway for people who are chiming in the chat. So the winner for this month, you get to win the Rig for VR headset. This is from Plantronics. And our winner is Ronald Collins. Congratulations, Ronald. Yay.
Yay. Burr, burr, burr.
Yeah, sorry about that. You know, especially
I didn't have the fanfare on Google Hangouts up, or I would have done the trumpet horns.
Yeah, so Ronald, let me know your Twitter handle, and I'll send you a message on Twitter, and you can send me all your info about, you know, how we can send this to you. So just drop it down there. That's so we can see it. All right, cool. Yeah, do we have any questions in the chat? Anything we need to answer before we round up this video? Anything I missed, guys?
Well, basically, everyone was talking about how smart and insightful I was, especially regarding the Thunderbolt ports and how I'm pretty much on.
I highly doubt that was it.
The kids say I was on fleek. So, so really, I think we're all good. I don't think we need to address anything. Don't read them. They're all good.
Okay. I guess since no one else took a look and Juan was the only person.
We're all scrolling through right now. I mean, the thing about the live chat, you guys have been getting into some great conversations. It slides way too quickly for us to pick out individual comments while we're also trying to engage in a live streaming discussion. So I know a few people like Machiavelli, who's always typing in all caps, like, calm your tits there, dude. I mean, we're paying attention. It's just there's a lot of stuff happening.
Any questions, Warren? I know you mentioned there was probably one or two.
Yeah, I'm trying to find them, and there's like Google does not make searching this thing easy.
No, it's kind of a mess. It is. It's a proper mess.
It's really not that easy.
You know what we should? What you guys should do is also sort of tag team Twitter. We started doing that on the Pocket Now podcast, and it helps so much because you don't have this stream of info coming in. Someone has a specific question they want to tag, then it's a lot easier to go back and find it.
Charles Edwards said no touchscreen in 2016. Apple done lost their way.
Do you agree with that, Soldier?
Of course not. I mean, every monitor doesn't have to be touchscreen. Like every laptop, every computer is not touchscrking.
Well,
how many people have touchscreen monitors right in front of them right now?
Oh,
yeah, actually me.
Yeah, like every monitor doesn't have to be touchscreen. So I don't, you know, if you're using a laptop, I mean,
I mean, again,
once they get into that, it's basically that laptop is going to become a tablet. It just squeezes out the iPad. Once the iPad sales fall off far enough where it's not, you know, doing a lot, then I think they'll add that functionality to the laptop.
Machiavelli says buy a $3,000 laptop, spend $300 on dongles. Lulz. Let's see here. Somebody said they bought a Nexus 6P over a Pixel.
Somebody said the bald black man is hot. Who's that?
Oh, Sam.
Pacific Rim job.
Yeah, Sam.
I'm not the one. No, Warren. Look at you. Look at
No,
you.
it ain't me.
You got
That's
no
just
hair,
Warren's
Warren.
hairline. That's just Warren's hairline.
Exactly. So,
No, everybody is in
I'm
the
just
hairline.
saying.
Okay,
Warren, you're looking
Diamondback.
mighty
His hairline's
good.
progressive.
Plus, it's your birthday
the
weekend,
Thunderbolt
Okay.
Warren.
reports.
It's your
Okay,
birthday
It's
weekend.
regressing.
okay, Diamondback over there. All
Well,
right.
and this week's winner, Ronald Collins, also agreeing with the sentiment that we could look at rate hikes from AT&T after this deal is approved. Definitely want to keep an eye out on that.
When you're paying essentially $20 more than the market price for a company, $20 more per share.
I mean,
than
that
the market price of a
overvalue
company,
too.
Then yeah, someone has to pay you back.
Rafael Romero Flores says, I thought Apple's Pro was going to be professional usage. Now I think the Pro line is just another gimmicky line of crap products.
Oh man.
No.
But
I think that's an over-exaggeration.
See, that's the thing. That's his whole.
No,
thing.
I do think
Their laptop. It makes really good laptops, and if you go to Microsoft's campus, if you go to a lot of different, businesses and companies, you're going to find laptops. You go to CES, you're going to find MacBooks. Like
The MacBook Pro is well built. The gimmick there is the strip. Let's be honest. Touch ID is the only truly good.
It's not. Again, a gimmick is not necessarily a bad thing, though. See, again, unless it hurts the product. Gimmick is only bad when it hurts the product.
It does hurt the product because now what, everybody will be doing AT keyboard typing. If y'all don't know this, do not watch me type, because basically now everyone has to look at the keyboard just to get predictive text on. Why? And then why do I need emojis to come up when I can have it come up on my screen where it's right in front of where I'm actually looking to type? Again,
I agree. Every single functionality the touch bar isn't useful, but it does have use. It does have uses. Like, you can't tell me that most consumers are going to want a freaking hockey puck dial on their table next to their mouse and keyboard. That's not gimmicky at all.
It's an optional device, unlike something that is forcing me to now actually have this light up screen so I can pretend to DJ Scratch when we know that dude actually played a mix on there. Come on.
See again. Now you're reaching. now you reaching. You're reaching for it. You're reaching for it.
We know that quite. Look, it's to me what it just showed is that Apple wanted to tell its consumers, we are forcing you to buy what we tell you to buy. At the end of the day,
not forced to buy anything.
No.
Apple user isn't under contract with Apple. They have the choice.
Not under contract, but basically that statement was saying, look, we know touch is big. We know how the 2-in-1 market is the only PC market that's actually growing. Everything else in terms of traditional laptop has actually been stagnant. But Apple says, no, we're not going there because we are Apple and we're giving you a strip. A strip like what LG put in the V20, and we know that crap ain't going to sell well either. And we know that was going to continue from Samsung. So again,
guys, that's what makes them unique. When Google said we're not going to put a micro SD card slot in the Pixel, what did everybody say?
Crap. The only reason why it's selling is because the Note 7 went in flames.
No. Hold on.
The company that is the total opposite of Apple decided to put a 1080p display on their phone, no micro SD card slot.
No, not 1080.
Pretty much nowhere near like the water resistance.
You mean the 5-inch? The 5-inch has a higher resolution than your
iPhone. Yeah, the
iPhone. Come on.
Yeah. Well, but it's not on the same scale as other top smart Android phones on the market. And it doesn't have wireless charging. They actually, and this is coming up in my review that I'm gonna release in 2 days, that the Pixel is Google's iPhone. Like, for everything that everybody says about Apple and the iPhone, about how they control the hardware, they don't really progress as fast as other companies. Google is doing the same exact thing with the Pixel and is highly regarded as one of the best phones of the year. And it is mind-blowing how it's different. It's a different approach when it's Google doing it versus when it's Apple doing it.
No, I agree with you that, and I mentioned it too, that this is something that.
All right, guys, that's me.
And on that next one, gentlemen. All right, later. But this is something they're doing that way. I hear you. Sorry, Juan, you were about to say something.
Well, I just wanted to get, because I know we got to wrap this up, but I wanted to get people's thoughts on the video game negotiations. So all the voice talent are striking against the producers, 11 video game developers and recording studios. And
they've been fighting this for a while.
So we've because I work in voiceover, and it's something that's kind of we have a vested interest in this industry. So I was just wondering if you guys had any thoughts on the situation. We could spend a couple minutes and just wrap this up.
I don't have full details on it. Can you enlighten a little bit more? Because to me, just generally as I looked at it, I was going probably most of the voice talent realizing the amount of money these companies are making, and let's be honest, you're not paid that well, because I've done voiceovers before, so I know I know the difference. I'm like, that's probably some of the basis, but could you just give some more context?
So it's a really, I mean, this is something that's been going down for years. So the video game contract. So most of the industry works non-union. So SAG-AFTRA, actually AFTRA, worked with 11 companies to create an interactive media agreement, which provisions expired October of 2014.
Mm-hmm.
SAG didn't actually come to the negotiating table until the contract was fully expired the beginning of 2015. And then they've been in ongoing negotiations until now, almost 2 full years, till they couldn't come to an agreement. It seems like SAG is fighting. So SAG and AFTRA merged. They were 2 different unions, and now they're SAG-AFTRA, very an original name. But it seems like what SAG is fighting for are back-end residuals. So like if a game sells over 2 million units, then all of the actors who worked on the game get an additional payout. The producers are negotiating for upfront payments. So instead of based on the game's performance, then an actor will be receiving additional compensation for the number of sessions that they do. So if the game's a total failure, you get more money upfront regardless. Also, because this contract expired 2 years ago and SAG kind of sat on it until now, actors haven't gotten a raise in over 2 years. So the SAG's proposal was we want a 3% annual raise over the next 3 years, and the producer said it's been 2 years. We'll just kick you 9% right up front, a 9% raise immediately. And so then there's this whole brouhaha over vocal health. You'll hear that a lot, but now that the negotiations have totally stalled and all the information has come out, I've been very disappointed in the labor negotiators, because the producers have actually been offering solutions to reduce vocal stress, and I don't see where SAG has completed or come up with a counteroffer. So we have all these actors saying vocal stress, vocal health, it's scary. Ooh. And the producers have said, well, we can do this. We can split up a session. We can do multiple people in a session, so no one person is recording for any length of time. And all I've seen from SAG is, no, we don't want that. So it's been very frustrating, because it's obviously a very emotional issue. And I've got friends on both sides of the negotiating committees. But I actually think that ultimately the strike is probably going to be a bad idea. They're striking against the 11 companies most responsible for hiring union. So the rest of the video game industry is still going to be working non-union while this strike is happening. And this whole notion of being paid additional money. First of all, if you go to Deadline, you can find some of the initial press releases from when the strike was go. And you've got SAG actors talking about how the producers are just like plantation owners. Hashtag performance matters.
Really?
You know, like other things that matter. I don't know. I'm the palest person here. So I don't want to make a direct link to a certain hashtag that has also been politically very active of recent memory. But it just, some of this seems so tone deaf. You know, when you book a session, you're making over $200 an hour. And I know actors don't work every day, but I also don't feel, as someone who used to work as a talent agent, I also don't feel it's like a video game company's responsibility to subsidize someone's lifestyle. You know what I mean? Like, I'm torn on both issues. I want actors to be better compensated. I do agree on that. But this notion that, like, because an actor might only work a gig or two a month, if I don't make money, I don't have anyone else coming in to subsidize my lifestyle. I have to go hustle up more work. That's how capitalism works. And that's why we're here in America, is the potential to earn more money. So I'm very conflicted on what's been going down, but I ultimately think that this will probably prove to not be a great move for SAG to have struck.
Any thoughts, guys?
I'm gonna start working on my voice. Fuck.
Don't be a scab, dude. I mean, it's a mess, but just don't be a scab. That's bad.
Hey, man, that look like a good way to make some quick money.
Yeah, man.
But
I can do Call of Duty. They put it out every year.
But the whole issue is, like, you know, a number of these games have been struck against, but again, those are from the companies that are paying into pension, paying into health. That's one of the benefits of working on a union gig. But something like 70% of the video game industry is non-union. So this is not going to affect all of the things that the actors are saying that they're upset about. Are the companies that don't work with SAG on keeping, you know, healthy working conditions for actors. If you're not on a union contract, you have no incentive to abide by those rules or by those guidelines. So I think it's going to be a mess. I think it's going to be bad.
I mean, to me, it sounds like it. It sounds like for once, at least the producer side of things, they came up with a table with some. So I mean, to me, it almost sounds like President Obama and Congress. You know, really, you know, the producers are like, all right, fine, here's what we'll do, and the other party just hasn't done anything, because that's not how you negotiate. You gotta say, okay, I don't like that, let's do this, or how about we add this on top? And it looks like that's where the problem is. I mean, the fact that it's not going to affect most of the industry is going to be a bummer for the strike, because that means they have no leverage, or at least their leverage is small, you know, in comparison. So this is something that they need to wake up, you know, maybe look back at that 9% that they're offering and see if they can finagle something and say, okay, fine, 9% this year, we'll do a 1% next year, and then we'll move back to 3% every year. Because if you do 9% to cover the last 2 years, then you know that will make more sense. So, but then again, I mean, they could hire us, like we always mention, do some of these negotiations for them. So it'll be interesting to see how it turns out, I think, at the end of the day. But hopefully, you know, people can still go back to work, and, you know, this doesn't affect you know, those companies, and they don't have to eventually go, okay, this is what affects sales, or we have to charge more money, which of course in video game industry, they always charge more money in different ways anyway. So that is a bummer. But we've gone to the part of the show, even though we are a little bit late. We say what we have on the channel this week and what we expect on our channels next week. So I will start off with you, Mr. Warren Bowman, since you usually start off the segment. What do you have on your channel now, and what can we expect next week?
Well, let's see. I have the traditional stuff, and then next week, stuff. I got some stuff up right now about the Nintendo Switch. Up on the channel right now, talking a little bit about that. A couple of videos I covered on that stuff. And next week there'll be some stuff that we can't talk about just yet because it's under embargo until we talk about it. So expect that next week.
All right, Soldier, jump up to you. What can we expect on that, from that premium channel? Any Battlefield stuff? Because I know you're playing some Battlefield.
Yeah, I've been playing Battlefield a lot. Actually, I probably would do some Battlefield stuff down the line, but either more than likely tomorrow, I'll have my Google Pixel review up and give my honest Apple thoughts about that amazing phone from Google. And
so no actual substance.
Oh man!
Oh,
you'll actually be pretty happy with my review, Bowman. You'll actually like it. I think you'll like it. Okay, that should be up tomorrow.
All right, cool.
How
about you, Mr. J? Juan.
I dig it. That's and please always pronounce my name like that. It sounds so nice. Oh, it's beautiful. Okay, I am stupid swamped. We just put up the LG V20 real camera review. It's definitely in the running for my favorite camera of the year. We just got our Pixel. It's sitting here playing Marvel Future Fight while we're doing these shenanigans. I don't know why. I think Google was afraid of our review process because they held up our orders for a while, and I'm not going to have very nice things to say about this headphone jack. And while Google's been making all these claims about the best camera on a smartphone ever, I can't give that award to a camera that has a halo ring flare on every photo.
Wow, sorry, man. I don't have Halo ring flare at all.
What are you talking about? That is just the J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, the J.J. Abrams filter.
Star Trek mode.
So no, it's actually a design implement. If you hit something high contrast, you can probably get yours to flare too. Some are going to flare more readily than others, especially because there also seems to be a manufacturing discrepancy between the glass on the back. And I think that might be part of the issue. Some phones have a very noticeable transition between the aluminum and the glass, and some phones fit more seamlessly. And I think that is one of the factors, the gap in how light is being refracted internally in the lens. But I can't reach it. It's way over there on the other side of my desk. I also have the new La Echo. We're going to be playing with that. And next week, I am flying out to Munich for the Huawei event. So I'll be international jet setter while crazy editing video for Pixel reviews and comparisons, LG V20, our final wrap-up review, and the La Echo all at the same time when we're hopefully going to be going hands-on with what will be another one of my favorite cameras, fingers crossed, on that new Huawei. I've been loving what they've been doing with dual camera sensors, so I hope this one's a baller too.
Cool. On my end, my Pixel review's up. You guys know my thoughts. It's good, but like I pretty much Soldier said it. It's an iPhone in Android skin. I just call it out. You can check it out if you want to. I'll just tell you what it is. We've got hands-on the studio. We've got some comparisons of the MacBook Pro and the Surface Book performance, and the MacBook Pro 13-inch versus Razer Blade. Just buy a Razer. Don't even waste your time if you like anything gaming related. Next week we have stuff that's embargoed. We cannot put up, but I will have something on the V20. I know I said I'm not doing a review because I have issues with LG. I'm just going to state it out here, and I'm not too happy with my camera though. I'm not getting pictures that I like.
You're not the only one.
My V20. I don't know why. I've been trying it in manual mode in different ways. It's just not working. So I'll play with this some more, but I'll do something on the V20, a little stylish, a little different.
Well, you guys should definitely watch my V20 real camera review then, because I'll maybe hopefully school you on what's going wrong with your V20s.
No, well, first of all, my auto is just not that great. Forget the manual stuff; it just is not coming up.
Oh no. So LG's always had suspect. I mean, if we just want to chat, what I say in my review, this actually has been a small step back for auto, with the exception of HDR. LG's HDR support in the past has been terrible. This gets LG a lot closer to some of the performance we would expect from Apple and Google. It doesn't reach it, but it gets them a lot closer to where we were in the past, especially when you look at how they crush highlights. Mm-hmm. Much better. But the auto mode now seems to overexpose and oversaturate when you compare it to the V10. So auto mode definitely seems to be a little problematic, but that's pretty easily fixed by shooting in manual mode and then leaving most of your settings full auto. I get better results there. And then you also get the benefit of having raw files that you can tweak if you want to edit that way too. Yep. So that to me has been the big safety net, is the auto mode still isn't the best, but you'll get good results out of it. Just you won't get excellent results like you will on a Galaxy, or you won't get nearly as consistent a results as you will on the iPhone. But the second you give the V20 one piece of input, you take one piece off of its plate, if it's an exposure setting, if it's shutter speed, if it's the ISO, anything, I think the camera instantly comes to life. It asks that you contribute, but it rewards you for contributing. And I think that's what's going to be really interesting about this camera. And I have a really big revelation as to how we've been producing our reviews with the LG V20 real camera review. It's later in there when we're talking about the video settings. Okay. But if you guys haven't caught that, then I mean, like this is one of those things we're talking about, the philosophical difference. I can't call a camera great if it ignores anyone who has more experience with photography. So if your camera is built solely on auto modes, like an iPhone camera or the Pixel camera, then that's good. I'm going to say it's a very good camera, but I can't say it's the best, and I can't say it's a great camera if it ignores some of the minority people who actually do care about manipulating settings.
Yeah. Thank you for the tips. I will try it out on my V20. Yeah. You know what? Forget it. I'm never doing a V10 for you. I don't know. I'm gonna go back to my old statement. I'm just gonna do a stylish video. If you guys like it, you'll see. So you see that this week. But thank you very much, everyone, for chiming in the chat. I know we've run way longer than we should. We had a lively chat this week. Thank you, Soldier, for joining us. It's a pleasure. You can check him out. Soldier Knows Best on YouTube. Follow him on Twitter. You know, he is you know, one of the older YouTube personalities out there. Does some good stuff. Glad to see that he's now rocking a PC in the background. I felt really warm inside when I saw that.
PC Master Race for Life.
I know. I'm almost cried. I see the Oculus on top. I was like, Jesus Christ, man. I mean,
and he didn't put an Apple sticker or any of it.
It's on the back. It's on the back.
It's on the back. But yeah, thanks again for joining in. Guys, subscribe to Soldier and check him out. Also, Mr. Warren Bowman from BW1, who brought the heat from the Windows side. Thanks for chiming in. You can check him out at bw1.com and also subscribe to him on YouTube and follow him on Twitter. That is also his handle, bw1.com. And Mr. Juan Bagnell, aka Mr. J.
Mr. J.
Yeah, that is him right there, Some Gadget Guy. Check out his videos on Pocket Now. He's part of the Pocket Now network. Also has his own channel, Some Gadget Guy, on YouTube. And his Twitter handle is Some Gadget Guy. And on our end, if you missed Sam, aka Black Iron _man, that is his Twitter handle. It's part of the Booredatwork network. And of course, my name is Thunder E. Want to follow us? Subscribe. It is all Booredatwork on YouTube and Twitter. And I'm saying thank you very much, and always enjoy your entertainment.
Bam.